to Hamas and only make them dig in.
Absolutely. And we know that. I mean, the bottom line, there's the philosophy that always was prevalent in Israel was you can't fight ideas with force. The only way you fight an idea is with a better idea. And this has been forgotten. It's like we can force them to surrender. And we know that's not possible. I mean, as we had a blockade against the state of Israel before it was a state. It was still Palestine, and the British put a blockade, and it didn't help. We kept bringing in people. We brought in arms. We fought them off because the stronger they fought, the harder we fought back. This is the way people are. There are three kinds of terrorism. There's psychological or what's called ideological terrorists. You have the territorial terrorists, and you have the Looney Tunes. Well, the Looney Tunes and the ideological ones you can usually beat, but the territorial ones you can't. These are people fighting for freedom on their land. They almost always succeed. I mean, take it starting from the American Revolution, and you go through every time.
You've got Vietnam. You've got the 80s with the Afghans and the Russians. I mean, it's always the people who have the ideological ones, which used to be like the Baader Meinhof or the Red Army Brigades or any one of those, they have disappeared in time. That's why Al Qaeda, for example, tries to latch itself on to a territorial terrorist groups. That's why Al Qaeda wants to be tied in with groups like the Hamas, like the people in Yemen, because they need a territorial background and the suffering of a people to recruit new people to their lines. The Gaza is like the magnet for all these terrorist organizations. It's the Mecca. It's the Mecca.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question about that. And the suffering there is unbelievable. I mean, people don't understand what we're talking about. Going to the Gaza Strip, Soweto in South Africa at its worst was a paradise compared to what's going on in Gaza.
It's incredible. In the time we've got, I want to get into your books and some of the things you criticize the Israeli government and the Mossad did when you were involved in it, and also the Navy. But you talked about militarily, if they were going to do this, you would go in an open-top wet submarine, or basically a glorified underwater Sea-Doo. And then basically, there's a lot of different ways to disable those propellers. And then it doesn't give the people wanting to have this big standoff, the spectacular event. Because, at a base level, people always cheer for the underdog. You got folks, with clubs getting shot by commandos. I mean, that, any way you slice it, is going to be a PR disaster for Israel. And again, I'm no genius about all this stuff, but I could see that. I mean, it seems like a 5-year-old can mentally work through all this.
Absolutely, it's it's stupefying. I mean, how do you even explain it when you have the Israeli government responding and saying, okay, they came down with commandos on board ships in the middle of the night from a helicopter, and then they're saying that the people defending themselves are attacking the soldiers? I mean, even the explanation is stupid.
Stay there, Victor. This is Key Info coming up. Victor Ostrovsky is our guest, naval commander, the head of their naval weapons program, and then, of course, recruited to be a case officer for the Israeli Mossad. And he's authored 2 nonfiction books about his service in the Mossad. We're going to tell you about his website, thebookpatch.com, coming up, or OstrowskiFineArt.com. This is a short segment. You were finishing up with the plight of what's happening in Gaza. And then I want you to elaborate on the mindset of the Likudniks who say, hey, we got 400 nukes and, we're just ready to go wild. I mean, basically, chutzpah is the word. And then expanding on that, what you see happening with Turkey, they're saying they're going to send naval ships in. They're saying that, more ships from Ireland and Malta and other places are coming. And what do you expect Israel to do?
Well, according to the Prime Minister, he's already starting to show that he's, under U.S. pressure. Netanyahu, he just may, ease the Gaza siege. I mean, there's no question about that. And easing it in a way that he would kind of like backtrack but not lose face into his own party, which is an extreme right-wing party in Israel, which has people like Lieberman and others who are extremely right-wing. I mean, these are people who are calling for any citizen in Israel to make an oath of allegiance to Israel as a Jewish state. Now, that would be a problem for a lot of Palestinians who are not Jewish, and he wants them to lose their citizenship should they not be willing to make that oath. So that's the kind of people we're dealing with. So Netanyahu is caught between, the rock and the hard place. Even if he wants to compromise, he has to do it in a way that he shows that he's not losing face. He will try and give some leniency towards materials coming in, and that would alleviate the situation in the Gaza Strip without a question. Turkey may, I don't think they will, but they may send, an escort, a military escort with those ships. Then the question is, do you actually confront them? Do you put Israeli ships to confront Turkish ships? That, I don't think, is something Israel would want to do. Now, the Turkish ships would not cross into Israeli the waters. They would probably stop in the in the international water on the line if that were to happen. Now, we're dealing with countries here that are easy to get, to heat up. Turkey, with all due respect, is not exactly your angel in the area. I mean, they're dealing with the Kurds in a way that, nobody wants to. They're preventing them from their own languages, and there's a lot of things they have. They're not willing. Yeah,
Turkey's got a military iron fist and basically a front government, and that's on record, and that's going to destabilize Turkey if they are put into a confrontation with Israel.
Absolutely, and it's an internal problem that they have to solve, too. And Radwan, who is, trying to show a face to the Muslim world in what he's doing, is basically this whole situation has forced everybody in the whole arena to turn towards their extreme side and say, we're not on Israel's side. That's what they have achieved in this. So this is what Israel has achieved in their attack on the ship. Egypt, which was an ally to Israel for at least 3 years in this blockade, had to back off and open the border, between Gaza and Israel. Already 500 Palestinians had been allowed into Egypt, and they're allowing a lot more, something they had not done for the last 3 years under extreme pressure, from all the Arab world, and they have allowed it now. So basically it's kind of like, talk about shoot yourself in the foot. This is exactly what they have done. Had they stopped them out in the water, like you said before, with those what's called wet submarines, which is really a large torpedo with 2 or 3 or 6 seats in it, that people are, divers are in it with their oxygen tanks and whatever, they could have come close to the rear end of those ships and stopped them without nobody on board even knowing what happened. They could have boarded these ships in a way that would be a lot easier to handle. I mean, again, they basically almost started the riot by, they threw tear gas grenades first before they came off the helicopters, and then figured that's what's going to happen. And now some of them are saying, well, we came down with paintball rifles. Well, okay, even if they had paintball rifles, which I doubt, how does the guy on the ground know that what's aiming at him is a paintball rifle?
Well, how do all these people get killed if it's paintball?
Well, and here's the funny part. They say paintball rifles, but then they say, well, they shot at us. They say, but they didn't have any, the people in the ship did not have any weapons. They said, yeah, but they took some weapons from the Israeli soldiers and then shot at them. Well, how is it that when the Israeli soldier shoots, it's a paintball rifle, and when he's shot back, it's a real gun?
It's amazing propaganda, but just to be clear earlier, we're going to break. We'll get the answer when we come back. You're saying that it's good the people were defending themselves, or that's a normal response. That's what I got from what you said before the last break. So stay there, sir. We'll come back, long segment, get your take on that. And then we'll overall talk about the state of Israel, period, and where you see the whole world going. Stay with us.